one business takes on many challenges. But when they're beyond what one can solve, it'll take more. Each one pitching in to form seamlessly linked solutions. And with a partner to innovate and collaborate, we can create better experiences than we ever could alone, to become more valued than we'd ever be on our own. Because there's nothing greater than working as one to make an impact in people's lives. Redefine our greatness. Globe Business.
In a world grappling with climate change, faced with rising climate risks, our challenge is clear: climate resilience. To tackle this challenge, we've built the Climate Action Center, a powerful tool for analyzing climate-related risks. Our goal is clear: helping businesses and governments enhance their resilience against disasters. Our toolkit uncovers critical insights, offering analytics and impactful visualizations. Through our user-friendly dashboard, we gain insights into climate patterns, risks, and vulnerabilities. No more tedious reports. Our platform automates risk analysis, ensuring you stay updated. Early warning alerts are crucial, delivered in real time via SMS and social media. We believe in customization. We tailor our platform to your unique needs. See how leaders leverage climate and data analytics for success. Our licensing is simple, with no hidden costs. Pay just $1,000 annually per location for climate resilience. For multiple locations and extended features, request a quote. This includes GPS location, hazard data parameters, and more. We offer services like consultancy, custom development, and training. Interested? Contact us today to tailor solutions to your needs. Join the climate resilience movement for a resilient future. Together, let's build a climate-resilient world.
haloy ng panahon, ika pinangalan sa kahoy na mapusuhon. Ngunyan, ika ang istaran, banwaan na nasasangigan, mga angat na ay tinalikudan. Ipagsasambitan sa iman magduman, ikuraw ko sa kagagsan. Kitang mga nagelyo, maurag na Bicolano, marhay na mga tao. Naganak, uswa pa, manginom sa pagbabang anong makukuran ng mga tao. Nagana, uswag pa, manginom sa pagbabago. Nagana, uswag pa, magkayon ng syudad ko. Nagana, uswag pa, di magpupulyo sa tinapan sa gabos na panahon. Ikaw, mamutan.
One business takes on many challenges. But when they're beyond what one can solve, it'll take more. Each one pitching in to form seamlessly linked solutions. And with a partner to innovate and collaborate, we can create better experiences than we ever could alone, to become more valued than we'd ever be on our own. Because there's nothing greater than working as one to make an impact in people's lives. Redefine our greatness. Globe Business.
In a world grappling with climate change, faced with rising climate risks, our challenge is clear: climate resilience. To tackle this challenge, we've built the Climate Action Center, a powerful tool for analyzing climate-related risks. Our goal is clear: helping businesses and governments enhance their resilience against disasters. Our toolkit uncovers critical insights, offering analytics and impactful visualizations. Through our user-friendly dashboard, we gain insights into climate patterns, risks, and vulnerabilities. No more tedious reports. Our platform automates risk analysis, ensuring you stay updated. Early warning alerts are crucial, delivered in real time via SMS and social media. We believe in customization. We tailor our platform to your unique needs. See how leaders leverage climate and data analytics for success. Our licensing is simple, with no hidden costs. Pay just $1,000 annually per location for climate resilience. For multiple locations and extended features, request a quote. This includes GPS location, hazard data parameters, and more. We offer services like consultancy, custom development, and training. Interested? Contact us today to tailor solutions to your needs. Join the climate resilience movement for a resilient future. Together, let's build a climate resilient world.
kasaysayan, haloy ng panahon, ikapinangaran sa kahoy na mapusuhon. Ngunyan, ika-anstaran, banwaan na nasasalingan, mga angat na ay tinalikudan. Ipagsasambitan sa iman magduman, ikuraw ko sa kagagsan. Itang mga nagelyo, maurag na Bicolano, marhay na mga tao. Naganak, uswag pa, Manginong sa pagbabago. Naganak, uswag pa, magayon na siyudad ko. Naganak, uswag pa, ibang umulyo sa pinaman, sa gabos na panahon. Mamumutan sa kung pag-iikutan, sa iman magduman, ikukuraw ko sa kagagsan. Kitang mga nagelyo, matitibay Bicolano, makukuran ng mga tao. Naganak, uswag pa, Manginong sa pagbabago. Naganak, uswag pa, magayon na siyudad ko. Naganak, uswag pa, ibang umulyo sa pinapan, sa gabos na panahon. Ika, mamumutan.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Yanig, pwede na.
Okay na? Okay na ako?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first Livable Cities Lab of the year, brought to you in partnership with the League of Cities of the Philippines and Globe Telecom. Our main theme for the year is Future-Ready Cities. As urban populations swell and technological advancements reshape our societies, Along with the pressing economic, social, health, and environmental challenges, cities must adapt to thrive in the phase of continuous change. Future-ready cities are not about aesthetics or modern infrastructure. They are defined by their adaptability, innovation, and inclusivity. These cities embrace emerging technologies to enhance efficiency, sustainability, and connectivity, while also prioritizing the well-being and prosperity of its people. Being future-ready is being resilient, an essential pillar in which sustainable, competitive, and livable cities are built. One of the most pressing challenges of a resilient Philippines is the threat of climate change and natural disasters. The country is highly vulnerable to various natural disasters due to its geographical location, with its archipelagic structure exposed to typhoons, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and flooding. These natural disasters pose significant problems and challenges for most localities in the country. In fact, the Philippines has been ranked as #1 riskiest out of 193 countries in the latest result of the World Risk Index report, primarily due to our low level of prevention and preparedness. This underscores the critical importance of enhancing resilience and readiness measures to mitigate the country's vulnerability to future disasters. Meanwhile, the World Bank reports that agricultural productivity may decline by up to 21% by 2050, while hunger is projected to increase significantly by 13% in 2050 as a result of climate change. This is particularly concerning in a country with already low agricultural productivity and alarmingly high levels of malnutrition. In addition, the Oscar M. Lopez Center forecasts that 6% of the population will be affected by sea level rise by 2050 and 17% impacted by the year 2100, emphasizing the urgent need for action. So today's lab will feature a varied panel of speakers. We'll have Felix Aike, CEO and founder of Comunidad, Angel Gulmatico, Head of Technology Innovation of Globe, Miko Ignacio, Acceleration and Innovation Group Head of M360, Mayor Nelson Legacion of Naga City, and Mayor Abby Binay of Makati City. Each of them will share diverse perspectives, practical approaches, and best practices to provide you and us with a better understanding of addressing natural disasters, especially in urban areas in the Philippines. So, to kick off our program, let me move to our first speaker for the afternoon, and let me introduce him to you. Felix Aike is the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, and founder of Comunidad. He started as a software architect in multinational AAS consultancy firms. His global expertise spans over 15 years of providing solutions to environmental critical industries within the Asian region, including his experience working with top climate and weather intelligence companies in Asia, US, and Europe. If memory serves me right, the last time I saw Felix was in a meeting with the New Zealand Prime Minister a number of years ago, COVID, when he was representing the New Zealand Weather Service, doing some research work here in the Philippines. He is currently active in Southeast Asia and Europe, empowering governments and private sector to leverage environmental intelligence to help adapt our rapidly changing environment. So with that, let me please call on Felix Aike to be our first speaker and kick off our first lab of the year. Felix, over to you.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Mr. Luz, and I appreciate for inviting me over and our team at Comunidad. So let me just share what we wanted to, Okay, so I wanted to share with everyone about localizing climate resilience and sustainability initiatives. So as mentioned by Mr. Luz, so there's a lot of risks in the Philippines, especially not just now, but of course in the future. So my objective for this talk is to share inclusive and tech-driven use cases by Philippines cities and municipalities on how they enhance local disaster preparedness, climate risk analysis, and sustainability initiatives. So I wanted to show real use cases. These are not like in principle, these are like fine-tuned to the ground. So I wanted to show you how these cities, plan to and have implemented to strengthen climate resilience through the modern method, which is the multi-hazard impact-based monitoring and forecasting system. They adapt digital transformation, of course, to automate risk dissemination and improve risk communication, and to promote climate action, because some cities now, they believe that the key to climate action is education, and start doing some programs in order for us to get familiar with climate change, because it's not a very simple topic. And about Comunidad, so yeah, we are in the software and data company. So we cover the immediate challenges of climate change, which in the Philippines it's more natural disaster risk management, climate risk. So based on the global standard, they call it early warnings for all, that all developing countries should improve how we do early warnings. And of course, sustainability. So we've been in the industry for quite some time. We have activities in, we're serving 24,000 villages in India. We're serving farmers in Cambodia. We're serving a lot of LGUs in the Philippines. And we've been active in this space, So, but what recently some highlights we did with Quezon City, the iRise Up program. They won the Galing Po Awards. They were actually the first to integrate a lot of data and create a more inclusive and tech-driven approach, which I believe is the modern way of approaching of disaster preparedness. So it's good that it's been validated by both the private and the public sector. I'm not saying that we are the ones doing it, but this method is now being applied by by cities and municipalities. Basically, for us, we help these municipalities and cities. For now, it's becoming like the new benchmark. They actually not just adapt a system where they just buy sensors and so on. So it's more of the narrative that they provide a digital and an impactful inclusive approach, meaning it reaches to the barangay, it reaches to the schools, it reaches to the MSMEs, it reaches to everyone that requires that information. So in a way, there's like a hero perspective where they bring positive impact to their barangays, residents, and businesses. So it's not just the system doesn't just stay in the office, but it's distributed mainly to where it should be distributed automatically, and and more efficiently. So in a way, I'm just showing you that these things are being applied even at the back end level. And yeah, the reality in the Philippines. So for some countries, they just consider decarbonization, meaning reducing carbon emissions. But in the Philippines, we suffer the effects of climate change, which for us, these are the two important things: adaptation and mitigation. And as you mentioned, when you do these things, when you do a digital approach, when you improve these things, like as mentioned, it's not that simple, right? So a digital approach and an impactful approach requires access and understanding of data. So the issue in the Philippines is we have national level data. We have the best actually data in infrastructure, but however, it's not connected to where it should be connected. Like example, you have Pag-asa, we have data from the airports, we have like data from Comunidad, we have radar alternative using satellite terminals. We have we have a lot of private sector data too, coming from many organizations. We have Project NOAA, the UPRI. We have a lot. So, but in a way, we also have these data that are in PDF files and so on. So it's not digitized. So there's a lot of data out there, right? But no one's really like taking the time to consolidate it, because we are used to the traditional way of buying an equipment, just monitoring it, and in order for you to create a system, it's not that simple, right? So this is just I'm not gonna go through with this whole slide, but as you can see, there's in the left side, there's a lot of important data that we have, right? But in order for you to become a multi-hazard and an impactful system, you need to really use that data, do some processing, in order for you to call it an early warning. But because for now, the common style is when you buy a weather station, you already call it early warning system, right? When you buy an equipment, you already call it an early warning, but you do not really provide an early warning or preparedness analysis. All you do is monitoring. So that's what it means. I think we're having some, the terminologies between early warning and monitoring is different. But as mentioned, because these things are cannot be easily done. So that's the reason why it needs time to to make these things happen. So what I wanted to do is how these cities now do this. Example for Quezon City, they branded it as iRise Up. For Siargao, it's Climate Resilient Siargao, where they try to put some effort in improving risk communication so that it's more understandable. When you look at websites, it's not supposed to be scientific. It's, you know, like a farmer understands the information differently, a fisher folk, a business person, a student, a parent. So they understand the information in various ways. You cannot just put it in just, you know, one standard, right? So what I wanted to show you here, the next part of my presentation is a more interactive demo. So all the things I've said, I wanted to give you the reality of what these cities are doing. So my examples are like an urban, highly urbanized city, a coastal barangay, a coastal province, a state university, and more on a nationwide scale, how can we empower the population with early warning systems and a lot more. So all the data I've mentioned, if you collected everything, if you aggregate everything, use data as the power to do these things, there's a lot of good results that could happen, right? So I wanted to show you how these cities implement. So this is an example of the Quezon City's iRise app, who won the Galing Poke Awards. So they had developed these tools, right? So for the disaster department, of course, it's technical because they understand the terminologies and all these things, right? So this is just an example of, you see that there's a nationwide view of the risks. You see that these data are thunderstorm data. These are like sudden rain data. When you see a polygon, it means 45 minutes, there's going to be a heavy rain. If you're in the landslide area, flooded area, then you already know, right? So that's what we call early warning. So it doesn't need sensors and all these things. So these are also broken down into barangay level. So when it alerts the leaders of the barangay, the schools that are in there, they're also alerted with various various dissemination like email, SMS, Viber, Telegram, and a lot more. And we're also not just talking about typhoon. We're talking about heat index. We're talking about lightning, thunderstorm. It's bad could happen in a day. And all barangays now in Quezon City are equipped with operation center. It's like you're equipping them with their own emergency operation center. So they also have physical risk impact assessments converted from document to digital, just like what Project NOAA is doing. But this one is in a more city level approach. So you can see that everything here can be overlaid with potential risks. So you see how that data is being utilized. These are all their sensors. They bought their sensors, but now it's all in one. The sensors and the risk assessments are overlaid together. Data are all being collected in a central manner. And you can also share that data to your partners. There's this called API where they can allocate the data. If you're a business, you want some data from Quezon City, then you get it. And at the same time, this is powered by us and the New Zealand government, providing visualizations, just like how the TV stations are doing. The LGUs are doing this too. They put it in billboards. This is just to improve, risk communications. And us in Asia, we really like to view it visually. We really hate some, like numbers and so on. So the good thing about like this project, they are also doing climate action awareness, meaning in the future, they want barangays to be aware what climate change is. It's a difficult topic, but they want to, here, there's a mobile app that you can see. It's in Tagalog about carbon footprint, like ilan yung kuryente mo, nagko-commute ka ba, and all these things. And they also gather this data, but it might not be important now, but in the future, you can use this data in order for you to analyze. In the future, this data is very important. For now, you might not realize it, but imagine these LGUs are now innovating for the future. Right, so even barangay level carbon emissions, they are now doing that. So we're happy to see that's happening. And also the alerts now, you can see if there's red in the barangay, it's automatically posted also in social media. The thunderstorms alert here you see are automatic. No person is doing that. So the problem here last time is, why will you call your disaster person 2 a.m. in the morning to post in social media, where you can already do it automatically. Once the event happens, then at the same time, it's already posted in social media too. So the cities here that you see, it's already automatic. The gathering of the data is automatic, and it also automatically distributed to the people where it should be, from visualizations, from SMS, from dashboards. You don't expect a farmer to view a website, right? So you expect them to just receive it via SMS. You don't expect like a police officer in the field to view these things. It's more of like it's called inclusion, right? So you have to understand how people understand data too. So that's what it's all about. And you can see here the different variations of what we do for different settings. So let me just go to the next slide. Here is an example of in Calaguas Island. Calaguas Island is not Quezon City, right? So so this is a project of us in the ICT. How can you empower an island with problems with electricity and connectivity, right? So now we have internet like Starlink and broadband connection and so on. So here you can see that it's in Tagalog. The alerts are in Tagalog. So imagine you go to Calaguas Island without buying any infrastructure. You can now equip them with early warning systems, right? Meaning early warning, not monitoring, right? What I'm saying is early warning, predictive, like in the next 6 hours, it will rain. Tomorrow, there's potential, all these things. So this is a project of us we are very proud of because, this is what we are all about. We want vulnerable islands to have their own operation center, not like the traditional ones where it has to be so big and it just needs a browser or even a tablet, right? So here, this was powered by the UK government, UK aid, in empowering the 9 municipalities of Siargao with a data-driven, early warning system. I'm saying again, not monitoring, right? It's early warning. So it means that, you anticipate the potential risk. So mostly LGUs, when they buy flood sensors, they think that it's early warning. No, it means that you're monitoring the flood, but you have to use that data in order for you to create a flood risk analysis, right? So what the system does, it really provides mostly all the potential risks on a barangay level. And this is a project by Cavite State University because they have 13 universities, all in 13 campuses. So they also create this type of approach, which is a multi-hazard impact system, but for school. So in the future, they want to share this with the parents. They want to share this with the schools. So mostly the teachers are using Telegram. So these alerts, when it goes red, automatically it displays a Telegram, alert. And in terms of if you want to roll out an alerting system on a nationwide level, it's possible. So this is just an app that will be launched on March 15. It's called Kerbit. So basically, it's it's an AI app. So it's a chatbot. So the bee. So because we love bees. So basically, all the potential early warning there is already here. So the bee just that tells you, like example, I'm in Cubao. So the bee just tells me like, hey, Felix, there's a potential lightning activity in Cubao, in Muntinlupa. So it also tracks information, GPS tracking overlaid with the risks, right? With what are the risks, right? So when I'm telling about the risk, it means that it's not just typhoon, it's not just earthquake, it's not just volcanic eruptions. The risks are also tailored fit. Example, if it's raining too heavy in Taguig, it's different than it's raining too heavy in España, in USTX, for example, right? So here in this app, it's tailored fit to where you are. The AI tells you that, hey, in your lat-long location, this is the potential risk. Potential risk in an hour, in 6 hours. There's also mosquito activity because the study abroad is the activity of mosquito is determined by weather. So there's a perfect weather for them to mate, to bite you, and to just do some kids and breed and all these things. So there's also a lot of relationships between that. So you can see here that we can do a lot of apps depending on the purpose. This app is actually designed for the Gen Z crowd, for the new generation, where they do tracking, they do, let me just forward this a little bit. So you can see here that there's also some tracking functions. And as you can see here, there's also some layers that you can see, like typhoon. You can see that there's a typhoon, there's radar, there's everything, and it tells you, where. So my point, while the reason why I'm showing this is there's a lot of things that you can do with, with data, right? So what I'm trying to show are the real cases where the cities are innovating with data. What are the challenges, right? So because when you go to a disaster department, so you ask a disaster person, we are used to more rescue missions, creating infrastructure. But when we speak about a data-driven approach, of course, no one's that much interested because it takes a lot of work. But that's why there's private organizations that are preparing that work for them so that they can just, do what they do best. So not the DRR are not IT people. The city, the municipalities, they're not IT people. They're not data. There's no data department, but the big cities have. But what I mean is that's the role of the private sector, is to help the cities in making sure that you create a data-driven approach. So example, if I'm in Tanay area going to Infanta Quezon, there's a lot of landslide area there. So the warnings there, it's not just heavy rain, but also thunderstorm related rain. So if there's thunderstorm, there might be a landslide, right? So what if I use that data thunderstorm there? It's gonna be more effective, and it just texts me like in the next 45 minutes. And don't you know that these thunderstorm data are coming from our airports? These are owned by Pag-asa, the lightning network that was created 3 years ago. It's used by the airports. You can also use it. The governments can also use it. So these data, but however, when you go to the disaster department, we're not really used to like using data. What we are used is buying a sensor, and we call it early warning already. We buy early warning signs, we buy all these things, and we call it early warning. Early warning is more bigger than that. It's a more data-driven, statistical, probabilistic. Project NOAA did a lot of that work. However, we're not using it. That's for us. We are advocating for the cities. That's why you see Comunidad is supporting a lot of cities, because they now realize the value of this approach. Automating social media, sending it to the, these apps are available for, let's say, a fishbowl vendor, a tricycle driver. So it's an inclusive approach, and I think more cities are now adapting this, meaning that when I build a system, when I purchase a system, it needs to reach the communities, the businesses, and all the, the sectors, from, considering gender, considering, a lot more, right? So it's not that simple now. But what I mean is there are now cities adopting this approach, even though it's a new thing. And I hope, these things could help also from the private sector side. We are just here to make sure that the data from the government, the data from the private sector is being, utilized. Lastly, the Philippines has very rich in data. Pag-asa has a lot of infrastructure that you can access. But of course, it's not easy to connect with. We have a lot of agencies too. We have LGUs. But if you think about a data-driven approach, you can really find a solution from your city. Not just buying a sensor. Buying a sensor is just easy. Just buy it. You just see it's monitoring. No, it's not early warning, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Changing the narrative. When you open your mind, changing the narrative and understand the problems, and then understand what data is available, then from there you can build many solutions. Just like what I'm showing you. These solutions, I'm not saying that these are perfect. These are still fine-tuned along the way, but it means that these cities and municipalities are now using a data-driven approach. So yeah, that's just my presentation. These are real case studies, and I know we only have limited time. But if you want to get to know more, just reach out at Comunidad. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow, excellent. Thank you so much, Felix. Great presentation. I think some key takeaway points. No, one is that it's very data driven and depends a lot on data analytics. So I think it's a good distinction you make between monitoring and early warning, where early warning really involves a lot more data analytics, simply goes far beyond getting a sensor and monitoring what we have out there. What I like also is that you have a lot of examples from highly urbanized cities to coastal municipalities to a university system to a very localized setting, from very large scale to very small scale. So it's very practical. So Felix, thank you so much for that. And I'm sure a lot of people have questions for you when we get to the open panel discussion after we finish with all the speakers. Now, I'd like to take this time to also welcome all our participants. I noticed many people coming in on the chat from all over the country, including quite a number of DRMO offices. So I'm happy to see that. I hope that we can all learn from the experiences of our various speakers on the panel today. So from a system which monitors and provides early warning systems and actually great disaster communications, by the way, Felix. I think the way you tackle that, I think, is quite nice. No, now to make this all happen, of course, we do need connectivity, and so I'd like to invite two speakers, both from Globe, to join us in this discussion. First, we're going to have Angel Gulmatico. He's had extensive experience in technology innovation, and he currently serves as the Director of Technology Innovations at Globe Telecom. Prior to this role, he held positions as Head of Technology Innovation, Head of Engineering for Packet Core Network, Data VAS, and Security Platforms, where he played a pivotal role in planning, engineering, and optimizing the network infrastructure. So this is an important piece of the puzzle that we need to have all over the country. And joining Angel is Miko Ignacio, currently Head of Acceleration and Innovations Group at M360. He is a software design, development, and delivery-focused individual and is experienced in leading teams executing the right software solutions for digital-first businesses at all stages. So M360 is a service, I think, that will allow organizations and LGUs to reach out for early warning. So let me first start and invite Angel to kick it off for Globe, and then followed by Miko. So Angel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sir Luis. So let me just share my screen. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Angel Bulmatico Jr., the Head for Technology and Innovations from Globe. Today, I will be sharing useful innovations based on new technologies that will empower our LGUs in managing disasters and the threats of climate change. But first, allow me to share with you a bird's eye view of Globe's commitment to digital transformation. Globe is an ever-evolving company in this fast-changing world of technology. It started as a telco whose primary service is connectivity. Now, Globe is a group of tech companies, and we call ourselves as TechCo from Telco. Our objective is to look for problems and assess them if the opportunities are big enough to be worth pursuing. Then, we address them with disruptive innovations and with investment in growth in a sustainable way and through diverse leadership. Philippines may have a minimal contribution to the emissions that caused climate change, but this is on the fourth of the most affected countries by this phenomenon, as we belong in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Typhoons, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes will pose more threat. In effect, the country will lose billions of dollars due to the damages of these calamities. There will be economic downfall as GDP continues to decrease, and millions of Filipinos will be at risk for relocations because of non-regulated population growth, rapid urbanization, and fast rising sea levels. We are living in a constantly changing environment and innovation-oriented society. Our customers are changing, usage is changing, new habits are formed, and new ways of working are adopted. This is why we continue to focus on people. We journey with them hand in hand through impactful partnerships. This will enable and empower our communities to navigate through a digital lifestyle. And we envision every Filipino to have access to the right technology aligned with our country's digital transformation roadmap. At Globe, we adhere towards digital inclusivity by bringing together holistic solutions that will enable traction at the grassroots level. Globe, now as a TechCo, offers services beyond connectivity. We provide solutions to our LGU partners that addresses their needs for disaster management, and preparedness to mitigate the impending threats of climate change. We enable the generation, processing, analysis, and training of information using environmental sensors and drone technologies to holistically understand the present and future threat of disasters and climate change. Then suggest practical solutions. We provide conventional and non-terrestrial connectivities to bridge the digital divide to our far-flung and disaster-stricken areas where cellular signal is needed most. We also offer different tools for communications to disseminate usable information like news, advisories, and others for disaster management, with SMS as the most accessible, effective, and cheapest. And my M360 partner will discuss this later. Now, going to the different innovations, first let me discuss what is CAF. CAF is just a baby of cow, but its acronym stands for cow, or cell site on wheels at a lesser footprint. It has basically the same capabilities and uses as its parent, and that is to provide temporary signal for voice, SMS, and data on disaster-stricken and far-flung areas. But it is faster to implement because of its size. So it requires less manpower and smaller vehicle for its deployment. In effect, it is cheaper and quicker to execute, especially during desperate times. Aside from cow and calf, there's also a non-terrestrial network connectivity that we call satellite. And it offers the same use as the cow and the calf. And they are best suited for far-flung areas with the emphasis on very rugged terrains like the Batanes group of islands and the Basulta region, where fiber and microwave is not commercially sound to deploy. And for the worst-case disaster cases, where neither cow nor calf is not feasible to install, direct-to-phone satellite connectivity can be used. The latest iPhone 14 and selected Android phones can already support this. Globe can help LGUs to deploy the relevant environmental sensors according to the specific needs of a city or a province. The sensors, together with the technology of Internet of Things, or we usually call it IoT, can supply crucial information of an environment related to temperature, air, atmosphere, gas content, soil, rainfall, wind, and even radiation. Furthermore, it can provide recommendations on how to mitigate threats to the environment that endanger human health and well-being, wildlife and diversity, agriculture, and the economy as a whole. As Philippines is mainly agricultural, let me cite an example how farmers will benefit from this technology. Sensors that directly affect the agriculture. The sensors coupled with the IoT technology will help our farmers monitor their farmlands remotely on a regular basis. This will save them a lot of time and energy in maintaining the optimal state for best produce as possible. They will also have access to practical solutions that will minimize, if not prevent, the anticipated issues. First is quantity, like shortage, wastage, and food production. And the other one is quality, like crop resilience, nutritional composition, flavor, shape, and color that affect the consumer satisfaction. If these metrics are met, it means better income to our invaluable farmers, and most importantly, we provide them a sustainable livelihood. Next is the drone technology. And if it is equipped with video surveillance analytics, and video surveillance analytics is different from the usual video that we see, it provides intelligence. So this will be very helpful for our LGU partners to conduct surveillance and monitoring of public areas and properties that are out of reach or pose threat to human safety. They are also useful for emergency response to assess the damage and provide situational awareness at inaccessible areas that were hardly hit by calamities. And importantly, it can aid locate survivors, preventing the risk for more injuries or death. Drones can also be used as transport system to deliver medical and life support supplies in hard-to-reach areas during an emergency response. For wildlife conservation, it can help preserve biodiversity through remote monitoring of the population of endangered species, tracking the habitats of wildlife, and provide information to conservationists for sound decision making. Finally, it can protect wildlife from poachers, illegal loggers, and threats to nature. Now I am giving you to Miko Ignacio from one of the Globe Group companies, M360, to discuss more about the accessibility of communications through SMS for disaster management.
Okay, thanks, Angel. Hold on, let me just share my screen quickly. There we go. So again, hello everyone. I'm Miko Ignacio from M360. We are a cloud communications company under the Globe Group. So today I will be briefly talking about a critical aspect of disaster resilience, which is how we can utilize mobile communications for disaster preparedness. Let's start with a simple truth. In a crisis, the way we communicate can make or break the situation. It's not just about sending messages, it's about making sure these messages get to the right people when they need them the most. Some might say that SMS is already an old technology, but for Filipinos, text messaging still plays a key role in our day to day lives due to how everyone can, how everyone knows how to, and everyone can afford using SMS. One more thing I'd like to mention is how SMS is a very reliable way to communicate. Global studies show that 98% of text messages are opened and 90% are read within 3 minutes of delivery. This makes SMS an incredibly effective tool for disseminating urgent information, especially during disasters. Also, even when other services might be down, text messages can still get through thanks to our partners from Globe and other networks, making sure that important information reaches those who need it the most. SMS is a valuable resource that our friends from the local government units can maximize through these following use cases. The first one is to quickly tell people about dangers, where to go for safety, and how to stay safe. Second is how to set up ways for people to get information, ask questions, and find help. And lastly, to share tips on how to be ready for emergencies and what to do when these emergencies happen. So I'd like to talk about Typhoon Odette. So Typhoon Odette was a deadly and extremely destructive event, ranking as the second costliest typhoon in the Philippines, behind Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. It cost over 400 casualties, affected 3 million families, and resulted in billions of pesos in damages. This tragic event highlighted the critical need for effective communication during disasters. So in response, Globe and M360 provided free SMS blast for 30 days to all LGUs in affected areas, covering at least 83 towns across multiple regions. This initiative ensured that critical information reached those in dire need, aiding in the coordination of relief and recovery efforts. While texting is very important, it is also good to use other ways to communicate, like Viber, Facebook Messenger, email, and the like. Each channel has its own strengths and can reach different segments of the population. By using a combination of these platforms, we can ensure that our messages are received by as many people as possible, enhancing the effectiveness of our communication efforts during these emergencies. For seamless communication, it is important to partner with the right communication provider. And we at M360 are not just an SMS company, but we are someone who can provide you with all your communication needs. So just to finish, I just want to say that it's very important for people to include mobile communications in their plans with dealing with disasters. By working together, we can make our community stronger and ready for any challenges. Again, my name is Miko Ignacio. You can scan the QR code on screen if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions about M360 and some of the things I've discussed today. So handing you back to Angel as he continues with the presentation for Globe.
Thank you, Miko. So let me share my screen again. So in closing, let me share a few slides. So this one is showing the awards and recognition that Globe received. It is a testament that Globe is committed in building solutions for our LGUs that are sustainable. And if you want to get to know more about our solutions, you can reach out to us by checking our accounts in Facebook, in Instagram, and you may also scan the QR codes flash on screen, or you may also get in touch with your respective account managers. So that ends the presentation, and together, let's build a nation that is dedicated to sustainability.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Angel and Miko. I think the key insights in these two presentations is that there are many ways to reach out, many technologies, depending on the area, the geography, the terrain where you live. And there are also many platforms which you can use, from the very simple, old, reliable SMS, which we're used to WhatsApp, Viber, social media, and other platforms that can be used. So that combination of channels can enable us to reach out to as many people as possible. So now you can see that using the data that groups like Comunidad can provide, their analysis and their early warning systems, and then using the channels and the tools that Globe provides, we are able to raise that level of preparedness and prevention, adaptation, mitigation, all these things that we are so important for a country to be future ready and resilient. So thank you for that, Angel and Miko. Now let's move to our fourth and our fifth speakers. And these are really the people who have the responsibility in their own LGUs to respond and to deliver services to their own residents and their own citizens. And we've picked two cities today to feature, and we're thankful to have both mayors present with us today. So let me start first with Naga City Mayor Nelson Legacion. He is the ninth local chief executive of Naga City, Camarines Sur, and he vows to create a more enabling and empowering environment for Naga City with the commitment to be reliable, dependable, and caring. He began his public service career in 2001 as the city legal officer, where he successfully represented Naga City in crucial legal battles, safeguarding millions in public funds. His commitment to uplifting the underprivileged led to his election as city councilor for 2 terms, during which he championed legislation for socio-economic development, and he was recognized for his dedication. He served as vice mayor, prioritizing responsive legislation and welfare programs. If I'm not mistaken, Mayor Nelson has also started to construct the Emergency Operations Center of Naga City. And as you know, Naga is one of those most affected of cities in the Philippines by typhoons, in particular, that whole eastern portion of the country. So very important to listen to Mayor Nelson's experience on how to prepare his city in the face of disaster. So Mayor Nelson, it's good to see you again. Welcome to Livable Cities Labs, and we're so happy to have you with us today. Let me invite you to make your presentation on building future-ready, resilient communities. Mayor Nelson, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Bill. Good afternoon, everyone. And we thank you, Bill, as well as the Livable Cities Philippines, together with the League of Cities and, of course, Globe, for this opportunity for us to be able to share our experience and undertakings here in Naga, When it comes to addressing challenges, particularly in disaster preparedness and promoting sustainable urban development. With me on my right is our Public Safety Officer, Mr. Rene Gumba. On my left, our IT Officer, Mr. Well Oliver. And on my far left, the team head, team lead for our automation efforts, Mr. Heki Elida, will join me in walking us you through our participants in this lab as we present our case or experiences here in Naga City. To start, let me share with you this timeline, next slide, of what we experienced in the latter part of 2019 through the year 2020. We ended the year 2019 with Typhoon Tisoy hitting Naga on the first day of December 2019 with 165 kilometers per hour winds, bringing strong winds and rains in the city. But we are glad to share with you that immediately on the third day, December 4, we were able to realize the restoration of electrical power supply in our centro area, which we call as Central Business District 1. This is because of the mobilization of our barangay electricians, our city hall offices, and our electric cooperative, Casoreco 2. Also working steadily with the electrification of our other areas, on the 20th day, 5 days just before Christmas, we were able to energize the entire city. Shortly, we started another year in 2020 with the outbreak of African swine fever in February. Later in March, the COVID-19 pandemic happened in our country. And while we were preoccupied with all our mitigation efforts for COVID-19, 3 successive typhoons ravaged our area. Typhoon Quinta, Rolly, and Ulysses, with the second being a super typhoon. The eventualities caused heavy damages to our many properties, as well as floodings. However, with a spirit of collaboration, we are able to sustain with our restoration efforts. Now, the question may be asked, insofar as this presentation is concerned, what have been our best practices so far? And given, of course, our experience. Among our many undertakings, let me share with you some of the best practices that we have here in the city. One is our consistency in implementing the incident command system. Another is the strong support of our legislative body. And third, the active participation or partnership of our community through their many engagement and volunteerism activities with the local government unit. With our implementation of the incident command system through the activation of incident management teams and every contingency, we are able to have a coordinated action for the most efficient and effective response. We are also able to maximize our resources with our whole of city approach, from personnel complement to equipage, with our coordination with other concerned agencies. Mr. Rene Gumba of our Public Safety Office can further elaborate on this. Another best practice is our legislative support through the passages of legislations, implementing necessary protocols, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as institutionalizing various programs, especially economic stimulus programs, that we have been able to mitigate more incidents and assist more ably our businesses in recovery efforts. The third one is the very active community engagement and spirit of volunteerism of the Nagueños, as largely evident in the whole of community outcomes during the height of the adverse events, donation drives and conduct of humanitarian aids during the pandemic, businesses offering free accommodations and charging stations during typhoons, community cleanup drives, and more. These efforts usually complement the efforts being undertaken by our local government unit. Nevertheless, with all these collaborative undertakings, we aim to elevate our disaster response mechanism, taking off also from our experiences and taking into consideration the geographical location of our city and region, wherein investing in a long-term, strong, and effective and efficient response is highly imperative. Thus, we have embarked on the establishment of a facility that will realize this kind of integrated response, the Naga City Center for Safety and Resiliency, which will be situated in our newly opened development complex here in Balatas. With this state-of-the-art facility, CESAR will be serving as the eyes and ears of our city that will be active 24/7 in securing peace and order and public safety. What are our innovations in CESAR? These are now the centralized operations with the establishment of a unified command system, systems automation through the help of intelligent features, data-driven management and monitoring with the actionable information that the facility will be providing. Our philosophy when it comes to CESAR are based on the need for accuracy of our data and information to guide our most effective governance processes. Mr. Heki Elida here may further elaborate on this later on if needed. Next slide. Here in this photo is part of CESAR showing Unified Command Center, integrating the functions of different offices and agencies that are involved in securing public safety, peace and order, and disaster management for a coordinated response mechanism and most effective interoperability among the responders. This photo or slide shows the ongoing construction of the facility, which will be housing together within its walls the Public Safety Office, the Central Communications Office, and the City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. The entire complex, consisting of about 1.2 hectares, will be shared with the headquarters of the Philippine National Police, as well as the headquarters of the Bureau of Fire Protection, to ensure coordination and immediate action. We are also going to show herein several of the main rooms that will be a feature of CESAR. One is the command center, which will man the day-to-day operation or action of the center. This one is the crisis room or mood board, where sensitive and critical decisions would be made. Then another is this training room, which will be for conduct of trainings and activities. We also want to show you here the CESAR technology architecture and its action processes together with its technology components and methodology, which will be explained to us more elaborately by Heki and Roel. Overall, our city is investing in a healthy city that is peaceful, vibrant, and productive, safe and smart, green and resilient, that is, among others, enabled by technology, as we continuously recognize the importance of investing in public safety alongside our continued pursuit of economic development here in Naga for us to ensure sustainability. Thank you. The details as to the CESAR can be provided to us by my Zoom buddies. Bill?
Yep. Thank you so much, Mayor Nelson. And what I really like about your presentation, Mayor, is that you bring your complete team together with you. I see you have your DRMO, your safety officer, the team that's working on the CESAR. So it's great to see such a tight, cohesive team approach to this work, which is exactly what we need in many cities, because I mean, this is such a big problem. So thank you, Mayor Nelson, and my regards as well to Rene, who I know we see from time to time in at PDRF. So thanks for that. And we're going to have more questions, I'm sure, for you with respect to CESAR and the plans you have in Naga. And so for our last speaker, I'd like to introduce Mayor Abby Binay. She's a regular, actually, at Livable Cities Lab. So thank you very much, Mayor Binay. You have been so accessible and open and cooperative every time we ask you to speak about Makati, and we're always so impressed to listen to your plans and to watch videos on what Makati has been doing to become an intelligent city. So Mayor Abby is a lawyer and a former representative of Makati's 2nd District. She won the mayoral race in 2016 and has earned local and international recognition due to her innovative initiatives. Under her leadership, Makati has emerged as a trailblazer in smart city solutions, garnering prestigious accolades, such as being the country's sole finalist in the World Smart Cities Awards in 2019 and 2023. Mayor Abby's commitment to addressing global climate change challenges also extends beyond local borders. In 2023, she played a pivotal role in COP28 as a distinguished member of the advisory committee, offering valuable insights and strategies for mitigating climate change on a global scale. She's been appointed a member of the United Nations Secretary General's Advisory Group on Local and Regional Governments, further solidifying her reputation as a leader in sustainability and urban development. So I'd like to welcome back Mayor Abby Binay joining us today, and this time she's going to speak about From COP28 to Action, Leading by Example in Urban Climate Solutions. Let's all please welcome Mayor Abby Binay. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Oh, it doesn't want to unmute. Okay. Good afternoon, Bill. I think I was wondering if you're sick and tired of me already.
Not at all, Mayor.
I'm always part of the Livable. I think every year I'm part of the Livable series, but I'm very honored always to share my innovative solutions. So good afternoon to everyone. As we find ourselves in the grip of an El Nino, the environmental challenges we face are further exacerbated. This highlights the urgent need for adaptive strategies and innovative solutions. El Nino adds another layer of complexity to our environmental management efforts. It not only intensifies the urban heat island effect, but also puts a strain on our water resources and agricultural productivity, affecting both urban and rural livelihoods. In response, we are doubling down on our commitment to sustainability and resilience. We're enhancing our urban infrastructure to better manage water resources, implementing more comprehensive flood control measures, and expanding green spaces to mitigate the heat island effect. Task Force ENSO, established in May 2023, plays a crucial role in coordinating with various entities to ensure a steady supply of water and electricity in Makati during the El Nino season, which poses significant challenges to these essential utilities. In anticipation of potential shortages, we have engaged with our water and electricity providers to discuss the contingency plans and have directed city departments responsible for social services and emergency responses to prepare for any crisis. Water providers, which are Manila Water and Maynilad, have outlined measures to maintain water supply, including tapping into alternative sources and enhancing their treatment plants to compensate for any dip in reserves. They are also proactively repairing leaks and, if necessary, will deploy water tankers to residential areas to ensure access to clean water. On the electricity front, Meralco has indicated that rotational brownouts may be considered as a last resort should the power supply dwindle, emphasizing the city's comprehensive approach to managing the El Niño's impacts on utilities. Moreover, the El Niño phenomenon underscores the importance of our shift toward renewable energy sources and the promotion of green transportation. We've recently introduced electric cars for the use of our public safety department, and soon we will have electric buses under the smart public transport system. And yes, we will be purchasing several electric motorcycles also this year. By reducing our dependence on fossil fuels, we will not only address the root causes of climate change, but also foster a healthier, more sustainable environment for our citizens. In facing these environmental challenges head-on, Makati is not just adapting, we are transforming. We aim to set a benchmark for urban resilience, providing that even in the face of nature's unpredictability, a city can thrive, innovate, and lead by example. In the recent COP28 held in Dubai, I attended as a member of the Presidential Advisory Committee and Technical Working Group 3. This was an unprecedented gathering with over 100,000 delegates, showing the world's urgency in tackling climate change. Notably, this was the first COP to confront the truth head-on. Fossil fuels are the primary culprits of climate change. It's a significant milestone considering the mention of fossil fuels in a climate agreement was unheard of until COP26 in Glasgow. And imagine we were actually in UAE when this significant milestone was achieved. The commitments made were bold and ambitious. Over 100 countries have pledged to triple renewable energy capacity and double energy efficiency by 2030. Additionally, a groundbreaking $400 million was pledged to support the most vulnerable nations against climate disasters. This COP marked a pivotal moment with its call for a transition away from fossil fuels, aiming for net zero by 2050. Though some may argue the language wasn't strong enough, it is always a step in the right direction. However, challenges remain, particularly in climate finance. The establishment of a fund for loss and damage at COP28 was a beacon of hope for developing countries ravaged by climate disasters like the Philippines. With $700 million now pledged and the World Bank's involvement, concerns about efficiency and transparency loom large, especially with a significant fee reducing the funds actually reaching those in need. Despite these challenges, the upcoming COP28 in Baku, Azerbaijan presents an opportunity to better involve subnational governments in these financial discussions, ensuring that urban perspectives are considered in setting for funding thresholds. This approach aims to secure direct access to funds for cities like Makati and recognizing the crucial role of sustainable urbanization in global climate solutions. The summit's focus on renewable energy and the acknowledgement of transitional fuels reflect a pragmatic approach to energy security. It's always a balancing act between reducing emissions and ensuring energy access, particularly in developing regions where alternatives like liquefied petroleum gas, despite being less than ideal, represent a cleaner option than traditional biomass. In an aspiring move, over 50 oil and gas companies responsible for around 40% of global production signed the landmark Oil and Gas Decarbonization Charter. This is a global industry charter dedicated to speeding up climate action and achieving high-scale impact across the oil and gas sectors. This is the largest ever number of NOCs to commit to a decarbonization initiative. Their commitment to achieving net zero in direct operations by 2050, near zero methane leakage, and zero routine flaring by 2030 marks a significant pledge towards reducing the environmental impact of the energy sector. While there are debates about the pace and methods of this transition, including the use of transitional fuels, it's clear that a balanced approach is necessary to maintain energy security while moving towards more sustainable alternatives. As we navigate these changes, establishing clear timelines for the transition is paramount. Overall, I'm proud to inform you that our voices are being heard on an international level. The Coalition for High Ambition Multi-Level Partnerships for Climate Action has opened doors for local leaders like us to influence global climate policies. This recognition of our role is a significant achievement, and I am committed to ensuring that future climate talks continue to include a wide range of voices. It's crucial that these discussions not only address climate change, but also consider its unique impact on different genders and age groups. We are advocating for policies that promote justice and equality through a gender-focused lens. As we reflect on COP28's outcomes and look towards COP29, it's clear that while progress has been made, the journey ahead remains daunting. The need for stronger commitments and more transparent, effective climate finance mechanisms cannot be overstated. As a community, we must continue to push for urgent action, holding ourselves and each other accountable for building a sustainable, resilient, and equitable future for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor Abby. What I especially like about your approach is you are engaged on a far larger global stage than just your city, and I think that's important because we need to send that message across to everybody, not just mayors, actually, to citizens, to residents, that we need to think of this as a global problem. But the other one that I'm so impressed with watching your video and listening to you is that you have really put your investments and your city's money into the right areas where you monitor water, you monitor air quality, even noise levels. And of course, the way that you are investing in EVs, from your cars to the motorcycles and the buses. And I think that's something that we need to see more of. And I suppose it's just a matter of time before we see the charging infrastructure begin to develop, starting in Makati and then extending outside the other cities and eventually beyond NCR. So thank you for that, Mayor. I think great leadership and great examples that you've shown. Now I'd like to start the Q&A session, and there are many questions, but first, let me invite back on the stage and have all their cameras turned on for our speakers, Felix Aike, CEO and founder of Comunidad, Angel Gulmatico, Head of Technology Innovation at Globe, Miko Ignacio, Acceleration and Innovation Group Head at M360, Mayor Nelson Legacion of Naga City, and of course, Mayor Abby Binay for Makati City. Make sure all your cameras are on so we can take a picture. That's the first thing we need to do. But also, you will notice, and this is really for the benefit of the audience and the participants, and all of you, please turn on your cameras as well so we can see you. For the participants, thank you for all your questions in the Q&A box and also in the chat box. In the Q&A box, you will notice that Zoom buddies for each of the speakers have been answering questions already while the talks have been ongoing, but we will go back and revisit these questions. But at least you will have the beginning of an answer, and you will find that out in the Q&A box. So first, let's start with the photograph. Who is going to take the photograph? Yanni is going to do it? Okay, Yanni. Everyone, please smile and give us the countdown, and we'll take the picture. Please count, Yanni. Oh, you got it? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, let's start with the questions. There are many, actually. Many questions, and let me try to start. No. Okay, Mayor Abby, you were the last to speak, so the last question that came in is really addressed to you. Two questions. How challenging is it for Makati to get the other peripheral cities, so the cities that are boundaries that you share with Makati, doing its share for the sustainability and resilience efforts? And how do we multiply your initiatives to the whole of Metro Manila? Obviously, environmental problems know no borders, and they don't follow city borders for sure. How do we get it to do your fellow mayors, do you compare notes when you meet at the MMDA and copy each other?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the problem really is one, we are all locally autonomous, so I can't tell nor impose my neighbors to have the same prioritization when it comes to the city, especially for example, I always use this as an example because it's very obvious. When you go to Makati has a it's called Tripa de Galina, which is our waterway that's right beside. It's the border between Makati and Pasay. So if you look at our efforts where we have our dredging, it's only half of the waterway. So you can see this side is clean, the other side isn't. So yes, I agree that environmental problems, even environmental impact, goes beyond boundaries. That's the reason why when we had a flooding in Magallanes, the reason for the flooding was not because we weren't doing our dredging, not because we didn't improve our drainage, but because the water could not flow from Makati to Pasay towards Manila Bay. So when we even when we submit a drainage plan, we have a drainage plan, we've updated our drainage plan, but the question is, did our neighbor update their drainage plan? Does our neighbor do the same amount of effort that we do to become resilient when it comes to flooding, when it comes to El Nino? I can't answer that. We do have the MMDA that does, in a way, it's really more of a coordinating agency, but does not really impose on the LGUs that you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this. I guess I also have to highlight that even though admittedly Makati has the financial resources to get into anything, but prioritization is always key, because the resources is never finite, it's never infinite, it's always finite. So when you do not prioritize well, then and the funds are very, very limited. I cannot it's unfair to say that why does other cities don't have these efforts, because their priorities are different. Their priorities is more for livelihood, their priorities more for health, more for education, and they don't have enough funds for anything else. So unfair naman for me to say na I would impose or I would want my other LGUs to do the same, but again, I will have to respect their decisions when it comes on when it comes to how they utilize their funds.
Mayor, among you mayors, not only NCR but other mayors, do you find that others approach you for ideas, or you approach others and refer your contacts?
We do.
Without imposing, but you're at least sharing ideas.
Oh yeah, there have been cities outside Metro Manila that have approached the city when it comes to our Makati Zen Card initiatives, our digital initiatives. We haven't really publicized a lot about our noise sensors, our use of IoTs, because we haven't really launched it 100%. But once we've launched the IoTs full blast, and they would be surprised how this kind of tech helps governance even in a small community. I'm sure we will be entertaining a lot of guests. In fact, for this Friday, I have some guests from outside Metro Manila, where we awarded funds for those that were hit by the typhoon. We're also inviting them to attend our fire. We have a city fair when it comes to fire, how do we address our fire, yung mga fire trucks namin, our resources, in celebration of Fire Prevention Month. So we're even asking them to come and see our trade. It's not a trade fair. It's really more just what resources does the city have when it comes to the Bureau of Fire.
That's great, Mayor. I remember, of course, in our experience with you and the others across the country, but in particular with NCR, during the COVID response, we were able to exchange a lot of information on the vaccination program and on disease pandemic prevention. And I think everybody kind of, learned from each other. And
yeah,
I found that's a very positive experience, and something that we really enjoyed in the private sector, and would love to work again with you and the rest of the mayors actually on these projects.
It was a unified front.
Yes, it was. And I guess when you're faced with existential risk, this is what happens. Mayor Nelson, congratulations on what you've been doing in Naga City. Now, you've mentioned, of course, that you have health epidemics, not just natural disasters, but you have diseases that involve not only people but animals. You mentioned African swine fever, and there might be other zoonotic diseases that are a problem. Is this all part of your public health response? And is that integrated into CESAR, not just the natural disasters, but the public health risks from both the animal side and, of course, the human side?
Bill, this is Rene.
Yes, hi,
The
Rene.
mayor just stepped out for a few minutes.
Sure.
Some couple waiting to be married. Just outside.
That's more important.
Right. Bill, on the matter of the African swine fever, it was really a regional thing that struck us. Many parts of the Bicol region. So the Department of Agriculture was on top of the situation, but we were mobilized to ensure that the infection wouldn't spread. So you can imagine the number of swines that we will have to eliminate to prevent the spread. So ito yung mga backyard piggeries na kinakailangang ilibing yung mga baboy nila. 50 hanggang 100 baboy. So yung mga ganoong sitwasyon, it's really a health issue, but on the part of the agriculture sector. The response of the city is, of course, as we have said, part also of our general strategy of using the incident command system for any eventuality or any incident. And it is in that context that we cited the ICS as one of the best practice in the locality, kasi napakadali na mag-mobilize ng mga tao, ng mga resources in any incident or eventuality. Now, what what we lack in resources, physical, financial resources, is compensated by the systems and procedures that were institutionalized for quick response.
Now, Rene, I noticed you started. We saw photographs of the construction for CESAR, no, your Center for Safety and Resiliency. How long before that comes online? When do you expect to complete it? But also, are you looking at the other EOCs which other LGUs have, so that you can sort of copy the best features and you can be on the same platform? I know that, Makati has one, Quezon City has one, Iloilo has one, Bacolod is building one. Are you all DSWD just completed one? Are you all able to communicate and share information on the same technology platform?
Yes, Bill. On the first matter, on the schedule of the construction, the first phase will be completed by September of this year. So we expect initial operation by December of this year. The final full completion and operation of the center will be by November 2025, as per the timetable given to us by the DPWH, because this is coming from the national agency budget. So with that time frame, what we have been doing is leveraging also on our networks and friends, of course, visiting other LGUs and other countries as well with a similar setup. It's like looking into models that can be considered, particularly in the setup of our command center. We have, of course, our IT consultant on matters of cybersecurity and other network system considerations. But at the moment, Bill, we are trying to catch up with the construction as well as the preparation of the technology and the personnel as well, because training, certificates, and professional licenses will have to be acquired in the process of setting up this Center for Safety and Resilience.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rene. That's a good move to exchange information and learn from the others. I have a question for Felix and the Globe people, Angel and Miko, but also for Mayor Abby, because you're using a lot of IoT. But what steps are you taking to protect yourselves against some form of cybersecurity risk, or is the risk quite low for these types of instruments? Felix, let's start with you.
Oh yeah, well, I think it's more of because these IoT devices are not really there's very less risk in the data privacy and something. It's more of like, but the technical people just wants it to to just complicate things, right? I think this IoT serves a purpose, right? I mean, for weather, you cannot really like do cybersecurity about weather. So it's more a different thing. It's more accuracy of the data. It's not when you do this environmental, based from my experience, I was with New Zealand government, I was with a lot of global entities. There's no really question about cybersecurity in, but except of course for some video. But if you're talking about like sensors, data, IoT, there's a lot of IoT now, right? It's very broad, and cybersecurity is for us, it's just an admin issue. You just if there's rules, you just put it in place, but it's not gonna hold back the vision for for having a connected city. So I think it's more of a, you just look at it that way, well, maybe for cybersecurity experts, they want it more complex. I don't know because, but yeah, I think for me, that's my response is more on, these are just security regulatory that you just have to comply, but it's not gonna hold back, you cannot really hold back technology, right? I mean, you just have to just do the admin work from the regulatory level. But I think it's okay. I mean, very less risk.
Okay. Felix, I have a follow-up question for you. It's very localized. Someone is asking if you have a project or projects with Tagaytay, the LGU of Tagaytay. Do you have any project?
Well, I hope it's not just Tagaytay who wants to talk to us. I hope Makati too, Naga City too. But I mean, so yeah, we welcome if our case studies. As mentioned, we supply disaster early warnings to 24,000 villages in India, in Cambodia, in LGUs in the Philippines. We do not really have a formula. It really depends on the mayors and their team on how they want to manage this. So, and the risk context of every location in the Philippines is different, coastal, agriculture, and so on. So what we wanted to do is to align with the city's objectives in terms of how to manage these risks and how to communicate to the people. This is just an example. Like, example, in Manila, everyone's like, techie, but if you go to, let's say, in the very southern part, it's the culture too is different. The way you broadcast information too may vary. So yeah, I mean, we're very open. You can contact us. We can go to Tagaytay tomorrow morning. We're very but yeah. We do not have any engagements yet. It's just a few of the highly urbanized cities, and we have in Siargao through the UK Aid program, and we have some islands in Calaguas through DICT initiative to empower them, and yeah, some highly urbanized cities, mostly in Metro Manila. So yeah, we're very open to talk to Tagaytay, and just contact us.
Yep, there are other cities actually. I see Gingogo is also interested. There might be others I'm missing out, but there are many LGUs represented in today's discussion. Miko, shifting away from cybersecurity, but people are asking if have you used M360 for items other than natural disaster, let's say hunger, malnutrition type of issues. So this is more public health space, I guess, but I suppose you can use it for that.
Yes. M360 is there to facilitate all your communications needs, right? So as long as there is a need for you to communicate with your constituents, or for your constituents to actually talk to you, whether it regarding any possible issues, emergency wise, or anything that happens in your local government units, M360 can be there to help you facilitate that conversation. It can be through SMS, through other channels, Viber, WhatsApp, Facebook Suite, email. So anything that has to do with communication, M360 can be there to help you with that.
Okay, now M360, I presume, Miko, can be used for any telco. In other words, the recipient does not have to be a Globe subscriber. They
Yes.
can be whatever, a smart,
Yeah.
whatever other
Yeah.
subscriber. You can transmit out and broadcast
Yes.
information.
We can also send SMS to select international partners as well. So
Okay.
just in case you need to send messages internationally, we can also be there to help you out there.
Okay, and how does this work? You're creating a database of all the numbers within within an LGU, so that and who hits the send button, the LGU or you guys?
Okay, so there are possibly two executions for that. So the first execution, which is what is mostly availed by the non-technical people, is we do have a do-it-yourself web-based platform wherein it's the users who actually input the message, input the recipients, and push the button, as you may say, right? So this is all self-service, no need for M360 to be involved in any way. There's another way as well, wherein you can integrate existing systems through our APIs. So for those who do have existing systems, who do have technical or developer teams, you can integrate to our capabilities. No need for someone to actually push a button. If your system can do that for you based on certain events, certain triggers, you can send messages through our APIs.
Okay, Felix, there's a lot of concern about drought. El Nino temperature is moving up. What what do your systems tell us about drought? How far out can you forecast, and what type of advice then do you end up giving the agricultural community, or any other community, actually, not just agriculture? Presumably tourism sector and others get affected, Felix, by this. No, so how do you handle that?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, because mostly heat and temperature are really disregarded. In terms of that parameter is not really that popular, but we feel it now. So in terms of these things, it really depends on the sector, right? So let's say if you're a tourist, you might be concerned of heat index. If you're doing, if you have a mall, for example, you're concerned about heating and cooling index of the air conditioning. If you are a farmer, you might be concerned about the crops, and then so in terms of the data, especially for example as comunidad at private sector. So we have we have short term, which is we have real time, we have short term, and we also have long term like climate data, right? So it depends on your purpose in terms of using that information. Well, to make it simple, so mostly as a common folk, like just walking around Metro Manila, I'm really concerned about heat index, right? Sometimes I could breathe when it's too much heat. My allergies, are off the roof. So and there's also in our app there's called freeze index. So if it's too hot, your hair might be dry, so you need some more conditioner and so on. So I mean, there's a lot of things. So I mean, that's more of the lighter way. But yeah, for farmers, it's more of a combination. When it's too hot within the day, suddenly this afternoon you'll have thunderstorms, right? So it's not just heat, right? On a very short term, anything could happen if there's very high temperature. It causes thunderstorms. It also causes dehydration and a lot more. But for long term, if you're, let's say, like your farms, you would look at like 6-month climate data, which is available through our weather agencies too. So, but if you're looking super long term, like if you're targeting, like decarbonization by 2050, all these things, so you'll have to look at very long term data. So it really depends on the purpose and in the industry too. So if you're doing sunbathing, then it's okay to have high heat and UV, right? So it depends. So the way we do it now is more very drilled down to really what that's about. So yeah, it should be more designed based on purpose, right? That's why there's called impact-based monitoring and forecasting, because you should broadcast the impact, not the parameter, right? Not the, let's say, 40 degrees Celsius or something like that, but you should broadcast the impact to that area or to that purpose. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Mayor Binay and Mayor Nelson, Mayor Abby and Mayor Nelson, I wanted to point something out. Many companies have set at least the big companies, not the micro, small, and medium scale, but the large companies have set net zero goals for the year 2050. Do cities in the Philippines do the same? Do they undergo that same ESG type measurement and try to set a net 50 goal for their particular city? Is that even possible? Mayor Binay?
We do form part of initiatives like Race to Resilience, Race to Net Zero. In fact, there are certain cities that have commitments to net zero, but their country does not have a commitment to net zero. So that happens. That is it is not peculiar or strange that cities have commitments but their country does not have any. Although that's the reason why organizations like GCOM and ICLE have constantly been pushing for, or UCLG have been constantly pushing cities to do commit to the nice thing about committing or joining these organizations or Races to Resilience is they have a dashboard and they have an index how far you are from your commitments and what are you doing right or what are you doing wrong. So somehow it helps the city be guided towards the right direction. Can I just go back to your question about data privacy when it comes to IoTs? Just so that it's clear for people, the IoTs does not give any data other than just a number or a location or it does not provide the name, the age, the address of a person. It just says, for example, it's like a meter, for example, an air pollution sensor, a noise sensor, heat index, it's like a weather stations, or even just a queuing system. So when you turn it on, it's a queue. It doesn't say who you are. It doesn't say where you're from, or so there's really no fear when it comes to data privacy. And the city of Makati also provides for, you ask, how do we protect our data? We do have the system that we call is a multi-factor authentication. It's very technical, multi-factor authentication system to ensure that only people that have access have access to the data. So what? So there, that's the answer to
Yeah.
that
So,
to that
yeah,
question.
Mayor, I have a follow-up question there. Have you noticed if there's ever been an attempt to sort of hack the data to create, to send false information about weather or about a situation? Has there ever been such a case?
There is such a thing as it's called the stock. They introduced that in COP27. For COP27, countries are supposed to be part of this. It's like an assessment on how far you are. So there's such a thing also on a city level, on how far you are for your commitments. Again, it's really difficult for some to commit to net zero, especially if you don't even have a plan. Global stock date, correct? So it's called the global stock date. Just like at the tip of my tongue. So there is such a thing as a local stock take that cities can assess how far they are when it comes to their commitments to net zero, or do they, if they want to commit to, you don't have to do totally a net zero, like zero. That's why it's called net. It's an offsetting of your emissions.
Your emissions. That's right. Yeah.
So it's not zero, it's net. That's why
Net
you have
zero,
to
yeah.
there's no such thing as, will you become a vegetarian and not eat meat because cows emit carbon? They also provide they do have carbon emissions as well, but that's what I'm saying. So we just have to push more cities to commit. And then that's one thing that we're also pushing in COP28. If the cities contribute on a local stock date and you add it on to the country's stock date, and then it adds to the global stock date, so you can have a bigger picture rather than a general overview of how the country's doing.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Mayor Nelson, how about in Naga? Do you do this type of a stock take, and do you have a plan to get to net zero by 2050? Not immediate, of course. It's still another 2 decades out. But is there a plan for Naga to get to a net zero stage, or that's you're just looking at the basics, like how to prepare against natural hazards and animal disease and health pathogens and things like that?
Solidarity with other NGOs, that's a very important consideration for the city. At the moment, we are just engaged with the Resilience Council, the National Resilience Council, also working on their scorecard thing. So Naga City has been chosen as one of the 8 pilot sites of the country that is recently assessing the resilience scorecard in the locality. So we are in that network, and we are also looking into these various pillars, environment, local economy, and other factors, all within the intention of looking at our resilience level, so the city's resilience level. So nandiyan kami din sa kasalukuyan.
Thanks, Mayor Nelson. Angel, over to you. There's a question about, does Globe help with the installation of IoTs, for instance, in LGUs? Is that something that's part of the portfolio of services that you give to LGUs?
So IoT basically is an ecosystem. So that means Globe alone is not working on it. So we deal with different vendor partners as well to build this ecosystem. And then going back to the security or cybersecurity concerning the IoT. So again, going back to what I said, it is an ecosystem. So that means behind the IoT, there's a security platform that deals with the device's security. So that means if there's, in any case, a security breach in the system, the security platform will just send firmware upgrades to these devices so that they will be secured again from future attacks. So yeah, IoT is safe.
Okay, and you're able to assist in assembling that ecosystem for LGUs.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Mayor Binay, you are engaged with many other cities worldwide on this topic of climate change and sustainability. Um, is there a city or a metropolitan area that jumps out at you as sort of a standout, the best example you'd like to see? Not necessarily that they're the best in climate action, but they monitor themselves so well that they are going to make progress. Is there something you'd want us to copy?
There's always this one city that we always applaud. He is a city mayor in Ukraine. Imagine he would attend COP28. He attended COP28. He attends GCOM. We were together in New York as well. He's very, very active. And you ask yourself, you are in the middle of a war, and yet you're still focused and determined and unwavering when it comes to his climate commitments.
Mhm.
Not a specific project, but the sheer willpower and political will that this mayor has is very, very commendable. Because the war between Ukraine and Russia has been going on for so long, and this mayor, that's we have to move on. We can't focus on the war. I have to do this. I still have to do this. So that's why every time I see him, I saw him in COP28 and I saw him in New York. It's like, unbelievable, this mayor. Very, very active, but very, very focused. He does not want to lose sight. He doesn't want to lose sight of his goal.
Wow, that's commendable. And from the perspective of tools, let's say you mentioned a dashboard for cities to measure. Which is the best dashboard you've seen or you would recommend for any city, especially in the Philippines, to use? What's out there that, let's say, Mayor Nelson or someone else might want to use? Right from Comunidad.
There's so many dashboards that are free that you can use. Maybe it's something I should post on my Facebook on what specific. It really depends on your specific focus. Like, you want to focus on your solid waste. You want to focus on. Remember, Bill, you have this. It's not livable cities. What's that? It's similar to
TMCI.
It's similar to that.
Yeah.
Where there's a checklist to see, or even when you. Yeah, that's one PCCI. The other one is the competitiveness index.
That's right.
And then there's another one. Remember when
Galing Pook is another one.
Not Galing Pook. The other one, sa dami ng orgs mo, Bill. Hindi mo na maalala which one. You were assessing cities. There was a dashboard that you just go online and then you check the website on what we have, like the population, the demographics. Remember
dashboards, livable
We're
cities.
working on one. Yeah, that's our own livable city dashboard.
Cities, right? That was like
that's right, livable cities dashboard, and then we're improving that to Bayani Hub.
See.
So we're building that up.
They should do your. You share them your livable cities dashboard.
Thank you for the endorsement, Mayor. How about you, Mayor Nelson? Do you follow a dashboard, or did you create your own dashboard to monitor how are you are doing in Naga?
Right now, Bill, we are creating the dashboard in connection with the setup of our Center for Safety and Resilience, including it's a little bit more complex because aside from the IoTs, it will include the GIS platform and the other decision support system that will have to be incorporated in the dashboard. So at the moment, the intention is to come up with a decision support system dashboard that will be used by our Center for Safety and Resilience.
That's great. Felix, because you are a very data-driven organization and people buy your services, right? So if you were a user of your services, any special equipment needed, or just a phone and a laptop, and they can access all the data that you have through a subscription?
Yeah, well, basically we at Comunidad, we are a software company, right? And we have two categories. One is if you want to decarbonize. Second is if you want to become more climate resilient, right? And globally, if you look at it, it's integrating the two. So you need to decarbonize at the same time consider climate risk. So it depends on where you are. In the Philippines, since we do not have regulatory yet, I think SEC is requiring companies to have they call it SURE framework. So publicly listed companies are now required to log their emissions at the same time report on climate risk, right? So those are mostly for publicly listed companies. And then when they deal in let's say other countries, it requires them to log to report more on different frameworks, right? So that's more on if you're a private sector. So both of those tools we have. So we serve also publicly listed companies here. We serve also other sectors that require sustainability reporting with climate risk. So that's our mostly the software we have. But mostly the local government they only use it as a climate resilience tool. So basically our concept is you do not need to buy any sensors. It's really for the vulnerable communities. Let's say Calaguas Island, who cannot afford to have this full functioning operational center. They just have to have a browser or tablet, and they can get all the warnings. So we also utilize the power of SMS to these communities. We believe, let's say, we have empowered the indigenous communities of Dumagat. So we tested it, just SMS in Tagalog, because no one will look at a browser, right? No one will look at a dashboard in that area. So it really depends. But at Comunidad, for the past 2 years, we have integrated all the sensors in the Philippines. In a way, as a private sector, we also have alternative radar. So these are the VSATs that you use, the cable that you use. So if you cannot access Pag-asa's radar, you can access our radar. So we have, if you're in an island without access to radar, then you can get our radar. So you don't have to buy a radar because radar costs $1 million and more, right? So you don't have to buy that. If you want to have lightning and thunderstorm data, you can use the data from Pag-asa's lightning network. They are built to scale. They're not built so that you need to buy again, right? For weather sensors, we have saturated, sensors from the private and public sector. So at Comunidad, we both have access to all of that data. So it's just, pick a location, here's the best data there. Just access the system and, did that there. So what we target is for vulnerable communities to just have like a cell phone subscription. You pay 2,000 a month, then you have all the operation center. That's what we are aiming for long term, right? To scale in the vulnerable communities. But of course, our clients now are the biggest cities, which of course they have a more innovative approach. Let's say some want climate action awareness. They believe that climate action awareness is the key. Education first, and then after that you try to decarbonize, right? So I mean both we have sustainability, data management, reporting. We also have resilience. So it depends on what's your objective for climate action. Climate action also varies in different sections of the world, not just in the Philippines. In Singapore it's different. In Philippines it's different. So yeah, the Comunidad is designed that way. It's designed to it's adaptive to what the climate challenge you wanna pursue at the moment. If it's sustainability, decarbonization, or resilience. So that's mostly what we do. But it's a software that you just have to access in a browser with internet. And internet now is not a problem anyway. We have all the VSATs. You cannot no longer reason out that what if there's no internet, right? Rather than like 5 years ago, that's always the reason for web-based systems. What happens if there's no internet? But yeah, as mentioned, lastly, Calaguas Island does not have internet, also generator at night. But utilizing the power of SMS, that's what we did. With Siargao too, we partnered with Globe, with UKAID, GSMA, and Globe for the Siargao initiative. So we use a lot of SMS to utilize early warnings. But no one's switching the on and off. Like, it's automated. If there's lightning, automatic. There's, it should be event triggered, automatic. No person will turn the button on and off because you cannot wake up at 3 a.m. just to post an alert, like, hey, there's lightning and so on. So yeah, that's basically the summary.
Okay. Can you give us an example, Felix, of, let's say, someone who wants to decarbonize?
Yeah.
How does that work exactly?
Yeah, so mostly decarbonization starts actually by measuring your emissions first. For everyone's information, the emission there's a global standard. They call it, there's a global standard for measuring emissions, and then there's three categories like scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. So basically that there are some you can start with scope 1, you can start with scope 2. So you just have to log in like how much electricity bill you have, how much you have, and then at the same time there's a formula to compute the emissions. And you have to know that first so that you know the value to decarbonize, right?
Right.
So, because if you don't know that, how can you know how to, and as Mayor was saying earlier, Mayor Abby, is you have to do some offsetting, right, in order for you to achieve net zero. So you have to measure it first. But I think in the Philippines, there's only a few sustainability practitioners, but along the way, I think we will get there. The knowledge of, how to, that's why I think some LGUs are just advocating first the information, what is climate change, what is decarbonization, and they now develop these few questionnaires. How much is your electricity? Do you eat meat? Do you commute? All these things. It's still a long way to go, I believe, but I think these campaigns help in terms of the yeah. But for us, you can visit we have a climate action center in BGC area. It will be finished by March 30. It's an area where we share knowledge about sustainable practices, the regulatory here in the Philippines, and a lot more. So yeah, it's still a bill. It's still like a very not an easy topic to really like when you go to events and conferences, when you go, sometimes you get lost, like you get lost with all these climate change terminologies. But I think we have to take it slow with the Philippines, and as mentioned by the other speakers, we have to really focus on the purpose of decarbonization, not the terminology itself. We just have to understand it deeply in order for us to to become, at least to help the world, at least long term.
Okay, thanks. Mayor Abby and Mayor Nelson, do you foresee a time when do you think you'll make an adjustment to the building code to make buildings more, say, energy efficient or water efficient? Is that something that's on the minds of LGUs? And is it feasible, or, I mean, it's going to be expensive, but is it feasible over time? Mayor Abby, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yes, we do have our own requirements on top of the building code. We do have green initiatives where you can ask for a higher FAR if you do have if you introduce green initiatives in your building as part of to incentivize developers to introduce those innovations. We are not limited to what is written in the building code. We do have our own. I have to double check with my staff if we do have our own green building code. But again, you have to constantly update the building code was written 1980 something, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, yeah, quite a while ago.
So it's really old, and we have to constantly, I mean, and the thing is, with the city, our needs and requirements are different from Naga, for example. Iba ang requirements ng Naga, ibang requirements ng city. So the building code is just a general guide. And then, so we don't have a green building code yet, but something that we can consider to encourage developers and even the households on how to make their houses more green. Because again, the heat island effect in an urban setting, especially in an El Nino, is something we can't avoid, but we can somehow lessen the impact. And legislation is required for that, because otherwise, if you only encourage people to do it, I don't think they'll do it. unless there's a cost benefit for them.
Yeah, yeah, it has to be incentivized in a big way. How about you, Mayor Nelson? Are you putting in incentives, for instance, to make buildings more green, more efficient?
Bill, this is Rene. Yes, that there is a mechanism for that
Mhm,
in the city, encouraging the upgrading of technologies, but even
mhm,
among private contractors, among developers. But within our control, we are starting with our own facilities, with our own constructions. So
mhm,
the incorporation of the concepts of green building, considerations of environmental factors are embedded now in the city housing projects,
mhm,
including the housing programs for the urban poor, exploring the design that would be more relevant to this consideration. So we are working on this within the realm of those that we can control immediately. So from the LGU projects, yes, that is embedded. But on the broader context, for example, of the building code, I think we have a very little elbow room for that, given that it's a national mandate and regulation. So as far
mhm,
as the city is concerned, Bill, we start with that which we can control immediately and we can execute immediately. So that would
mhm.
include the designs for our housing programs for the urban poor and even our own buildings that are being constructed, including CESAR, the Center for Safety and Resilience that
Mhm.
we are constructing now.
Yep, thanks. Uh, Mayor Abby, one of the things that impressed me so much in your last presentation at Globe when we met just a few months ago, or yeah, a few months ago in January, you talked about how much solar energy you have placed on the rooftops of city-owned buildings. Can you speak to that and let us know how much has been done?
Well, we started with the schools. Unfortunately, the schools that we started putting were those in the Embo barangays, but that's fine. At least the students there are benefiting from the solar power. We are allocating a huge amount of money to convert all of our schools, all the remaining schools, that they are solar power driven, because we have seen the reduction of our energy consumption by almost 60%
Oh.
so that's the amount of money that, imagine the savings that we're able to bring in back for the
Mhm.
schools, because instead of paying it for our utilities, and we are also putting smart meters on our utilities, so we know how much. If what do we The nice thing about the IoTs, can I just say, they can even specify what kind of electricity or what kind of appliance consumes the most in terms of
Mm,
energy. It can
okay.
say if it's your air conditioning, if it's your lights, if it's or even for your water. Do you consume a lot in your faucet, or do you consume a lot in your toilet? Which toilet? It's so localized that you can identify the area that has the most consumption and the least consumption, and you can now make policies when it comes to energy efficiency and consumption
Mhm,
based on the IoT data that you will be able to get.
mhm. So maybe for the Globe guys, maybe this is something. Maybe you already have the product, sort of a home or building system that you can monitor your water and electricity use, and households can then, decide how much power or water they can manage and make it affordable. That might be something that you already have within your portfolio of services. Might be good, no, to popularize it. Uh, Mayor Abby, I think you also mentioned that your light posts. I remember your lamp posts.
Solar, yeah,
Yeah,
or
are all solar now.
solar lampos, solar studs, even our CCTV cameras are solar powered.
Mhm.
So we actually one thing that we also had to do for our disaster resiliency, we do have our mobile command centers. And then I remember there was a strong typhoon in Cebu, and they had to ration their gas, or like Siargao. And I said, okay, what are we going to do with our command center when it runs on fuel? So it's not going to it's not going to run. So because although you have a generator, you do have a generator, but again, it consumes fuel. So what are you going to do if there is no access to fuel? So that's why we ended up buying a solar power generator.
Okay.
Because that's the way to go. I mean, you have a plan A, you have a plan B. That's the reason you become resilient when you have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah, I'm glad you thought of the same solution. At PDRF, Mayor, we have also looked at solar-powered mobile systems, actually, so that we can move them around to places that are affected. Okay, so I think we've run through pretty well all the questions that have been asked. So just to take advantage of the last few minutes, I'd like to ask each of our speakers, maybe if you want to leave one key thought behind for the participants, what would it be? What lesson, what takeaway would you want them to remember from today's session? And I'll go in the order again of the speakers. So Felix, let me start with you.
Yeah, I think from the title of my presentation itself is localizing climate resilience and sustainability initiatives. I think it is very important when we implement systems, we really have to consider, culture, the people on the ground, the businesses there. So we have to really consider more on, the reality, right? Because common now is we just do it theoretically, scientifically, everything. But when you implement it in the ground, it's totally different. So I think learning from the use cases, let's say from Makati City, from Quezon City, because they do it best. I think it could help the other cities and in the Philippines by sharing best practices and sharing data too, because sharing data is a very not popular idea in the Philippines. So I think if we could connect all the pieces together and it could create a solution, but not all data, right? But I mean is localizing these things is the way to go, and through technology and data, that's also the way to go. Digitalization and inclusion. In order for you to achieve inclusion, it needs to be digital. That's the only way. I mean, technology. Yep.
Okay, no, thanks, Felix. And you had, I love the use cases. It's very, very practical and makes it very concrete. Angel, on your part, any last thoughts you'd like to convey from Globe?
Yeah, so digitalization, to realize this, the basic foundation for that is connectivity, and Globe offers that. I mean, Globe does that best. And because Globe is not just a telco company, we are now a techco, so we also provide solutions that are hinged on sustainability.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Angel. And yeah, thanks for your presentation. I think we see the kind of the variety of communication and connectivity tools that you have for depending on the terrain and your location. But as Felix says, today there's no more excuse. Everyone's got access because of better connectivity. Miko, on your part, any last thoughts from M360?
Sure. Yeah. On my end, again, right? In everything that we do, whether it be in a crisis or during a day-to-day in terms of making our constituents have better lives, communication is always key for all of those activities, right? Because without without having the ability to send what you want to say to your constituents, it won't matter if they don't receive that message, right? So us at M360, alongside our partners at Globe, we're here to help you ensure that the solutions you're building, the programs you're building, you can effectively communicate those to your constituents.
Thanks, Miko. Yeah, what I like about M360 is that it's easy for everyone to imagine. It's kind of like a WhatsApp group chat or a Viber group chat on steroids. and so it just reaches everybody so quickly in an emergency or even in a non-emergency situation. Um, Rene, speaking
Yes,
for
Bill.
Mayor
All right.
Nelson, what
Yes.
last thought do you want to give us in Naga? How do you make people feel safe in Naga?
Yes, Bill. Actually, when we talk about concerns and issues that are common, like climate change, safety, disaster resilience, sometimes we tend to forget the realities on the ground, particularly on matters of diversity. So the complexities of different income levels, different resource capabilities, I think should always be taken into consideration, particularly when we set up solutions. But the bottom line is always the capacity to work together. And we are very glad that up to now, Bill, you have been working to bring people together and work together, because I think that's a very vital intervention that is very crucial for LGUs like us in the provinces as well. So thank you very much for the initiative, Bill.
No, thank you as well, Rene, for being such a good partner in all the work that we do. And now let me go to Mayor Abby. I mean, you are sort of leading the charge. You're global, but what I like is that you're always pushing the envelope and making things better. So, any last words you'd like to leave us, Mayor Abby?
I think in any success of running a city, you always have to have to bring in all stakeholders, bring in the private sector, bring in the community as well, because I keep on saying the government cannot be prepared and the community is not prepared. On an individual level, on a household level, on a city level, on a barangay level. So hindi po pwede the city is prepared, but then the rest is not prepared. And for a city like Makati, where we do have a lot of businesses, we have a population of 5 million during the day, and now we're like less than 500,000 nighttime population. So the dynamics is very, very crucial. You have to know, you embrace your data. Data is life. Because if you do not have the right data, you will not be able to provide the right policies, and you will not be able to provide efficient and accurate service to the community.
Thank you, Mayor Binay. Well said. Data is life, and I think really for all of us who value data, this is something that we need to always encourage. That we have to be very, very data driven and empirical about our decisions. I want to thank all of our speakers today, Mayor Abby, Mayor Nelson, Rene, for joining us. Miko, Angel, Felix, all the audience, many questions from all over the country. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found this session a very useful session. I'd like to thank Globe and the League of Cities for being a partner. When you leave, when you exit today, you will see a feedback form. We encourage you to take a picture of the QR code and send the feedback to us so we can improve on the series. But let me say the next two topics we are trying to line up are going to be quite interesting. The first is the use of AI for city management. And, Baguio, the city of Baguio has been working with Asian Institute of Management using a lot of AI. And I've asked them to kind of condense all the stories and all their lessons and all their insights, both the successes and the missteps that they had, so we can all learn from how to use AI in cities. So we'll announce that as soon as we got dates set up with Mayor Benji and with Chris Monterola at AIM. And then the other thing is that we're going to organize a lab with the WWF, Worldwide Fund for Nature, and some cities. We'd like to align and calculate what are the power and energy needs of a city and align that to their development goals over the next 5 to 10 years. Many people plan their cities and their LGUs with a long-term development plan, but we're not so sure how many calculate how much power and energy they need to be able to achieve that plan. So we're going to be working with WWF on how to calculate that and how to build it locally for cities. So those are the next two topics we'd like to line up. Our theme for this year is the future ready city. And again, I'd like to thank all our speakers today, starting with Mayor Abby and Mayor Nelson, and to our representatives from Globe, Miko and Angel, and Felix at Comunidad. Great presentation talking about the other cities. I hope we can all partner in the future and learn from each other. And I'd like to thank the audience for your participation and your questions. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Livable Cities Lab. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Abby.
Thanks.
I was going to ask you what you anticipate you will do in the future, because I notice you are on your third term, but that will be another topic for another day.
I have not seen the sign. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Mayor Abby.
One business
Nelson,
takes
thank you
on
so
many
much.
challenges.
Thanks, everybody.
But when they're beyond what one can solve, it'll take more. Each one pitching in to form seamlessly linked solutions. And with a partner to innovate and collaborate, we can create better experiences than we ever could alone, to become more valued than we'd ever be on our own. Because there's nothing greater than working as one to make an impact in people's lives. Redefine our greatness. Globe Business.
In a world grappling with climate change, faced with rising climate risks, our challenge is clear: climate resilience. To tackle this challenge, we've built the Climate Action Center, a powerful tool for analyzing climate-related risks. Our goal is clear: helping businesses and governments enhance their resilience against disasters. Our toolkit uncovers critical insights, offering analytics and impactful visualizations. Through our user-friendly dashboard, we gain insights into climate patterns, risks, and vulnerabilities. No more tedious reports. Our platform automates risk analysis, ensuring you stay updated. Early warning alerts are crucial, delivered in real time via SMS and social media. We believe in customization. We tailor our platform to your unique needs. See how leaders leverage climate and data analytics for success. Our licensing is simple, with no hidden costs. Pay just $1,000 annually per location for climate resilience. For multiple locations and extended features, request a quote. This includes GPS location, hazard data parameters, and more. We offer services like consultancy, custom development, and training. Interested? Contact us today to tailor solutions to your needs. Join the climate resilience movement for a resilient future. Together, let's build a climate resilient world.
bayan, haloy ng panahon, ikapinangaran sa kahoy na mapusuhon, ngunyan, ikaalistaran. Banwaan na nasasalingan, mga angat na ay tinalikudan. Di pagsasambitan sa iman magduman, ikukuraw ko sa kagagsan. Kitang mga nagelyo, maurag na Bicolano, marhay ng mga tao. Naganap, uswag pa, Manginom sa pagbabago. Naganap, uswag pa, magayon na siyudad ko. Naganap, uswag pa, ibang umulyo sa kinaman, sa gabos na panahon. Ikaw, mamumutan sa kung pag-iikutan, sa inman magduman, ikukuraw ko sa kagagsan. Kitang mga nagelyo, matitibay Bicolano, makukuran ng mga tao. Naganap, uswag pa, manginom sa pagbabago. Naganap, uswag pa, magayon na siyudad ko. Naganap, uswag pa, ibang umulyo sa kinaman, sa gabos na panahon. Ikaw, mamumutan.
Jenny?
Peace out.
Oh,